Okay, I got my Dollar Tree haul right here, right? We got some whole milk in this carton, and it doesn't require refrigeration, I guess, until you open it. But I was thinking about getting the almond milk or some of the more bland oat milk and stuff like that. But this one here had the highest protein. It had more calories, but it did have the highest protein. They had green tea, right? So, like I said, drinking the coffee will raise your blood pressure. And for me, it does seem to cause more mucus. And then when you have mucus, you're more prone to whatever allergies or anything like that can live in that mucus in your body. Okay? Okay. I bought my doggie some treats. I'm gonna give her one. I got the hooks that I was looking for, right? I hope this is big enough, but I think it is, because all I had to do is like put these, the wires of the lights, and I just hope it sticks properly. Okay? Which is what I went into the store to actually get. I wish they wasn't so small, but sometimes I guess small is better. I got some pineapple tidbits because I've been dying to cook these corn muffins with pineapple tidbits. Shout out to Wanderlust. Right? She went to a bakery from the Pacific Northwest, and they had put pineapple inside of, the corn muffin, and she just said it was the bomb. And I'm like, yeah. So we got a couple of boxes of corn muffin. I probably won't, do like a big whole batch, but I'll do like a few where, I'll have these pineapple corn muffins for something sweet, instead of that regular cookie thing. And then the rest, I'll probably make just plain corn muffins and eat that with, some collard greens. Okay? And of course, I could not help but to try this thing out. This is like Peak. It does have caffeine. However, it also has vitamin B, B1, B3, B5, and B6. And be cool, motherfucker. Right? So I'm going to try this. Normally when I buy water flavor, it's either for the electrolytes, but also, so I'll drink more water, and it's 0 calories. However, this is 5 calories, right? I had to buy me some more salt and pepper. If you buy it in bulk, it has went up so much, right? I went to go buy a small, I think it was like 3-ounce can of pepper. And they wanted to charge you like $4. Right? Even the salt. You know how you used to get the container of salt? The salt has went up too. Right? I'm not going to go back and forth with how much things used to be and what they are now. but they're always seeming to be on the rise. That's the sad part about things. Then I also bought my dog another can of dog food. Basically because she has some dry dog food. I might mix half of this can with some of her dry dog food because, you know, she likes her dog food wet. And in honor of Leo season, we got a candle, a yellow candle. Yeah, in honor of the Leo season. Okay? I'm going to put some citronella in this one, so when it burns, it's going to burn the mosquitoes away, because the mosquitoes are out. Okay? So that was my little grocery shopping trip. And the total came up to $12.04. Okay? $12.04. I can see myself coming back to the Dollar Tree in the future. For sure. But even if I would have went to Winco's, there's just no way I would have found 100 bags of green tea for $1.25. Just what? Right? And a lot of the other stuff is very, close to the price of, competitive pricing. Here, baby. Yummy, huh? Don't it feel good between your teeth? I know, huh? Tastes just like meat. So yeah, I'm pleased about that. I also needed the milk because I do need to put some milk into the corn muffins. So yeah. We did that. So now I want to go someplace. The temperatures drop to 95 degrees, which is beautiful. And there is a little bit of overcast. Now, here's the thing. Here's one of the things that, had kind of crossed my mind, as, I was trying to, see what the big, beautiful bill had all entailed, right? It's supposed to be like 1,000 pages, right? And I'm like, okay, you're going to force people to read, right? But, they're not actually giving you the bill, right? So we're reliant on, interpretations of these thousands of pages, right? Of course, we want to believe that, it would be reliable, right? However, there has been a lot of people who have read in too much. By, adding, their particular feelings on a thing. And I mean, there's nothing wrong, truly, with, you know, adding in your personal feelings. But, you know, it's always best if that's what you're going to do. You know, you need to warn people, like, this is how I see it. This is my personal feelings. Or this is what I would hope for. Or this is what I wish. Or, you know, this is what I wish wouldn't happen. Right? These are the kind of statements of accountability. Right? Because you're owning your own feelings and not forcing people, you know, to also incorporate your feelings when you're trying to you know, get a message across, right? Sometimes, you know, you can cite resources if you want to do just the contrary. You know, that everything that you say is basically your feelings, but then when it's not your feelings, you can cite your resources, right? These are the things that, you know, you get in a habit of doing when, you know, you go to school. Or at least that's what you should. But I know a lot of people, you know, they resent the idea of having to go to school, which is something that's going to help them learn about themselves, learn about the world, learn about, you know, future possibilities, you know, and help you to process information, to apply, you know, processes so that, you know, maybe, you know, you can invent something or now granted, you know, people like to cheat the system, people like to hack the system, right? Because everything that's available is out somewhere in the collective consciousness. It's out there somewhere, and all you have to do is tap in. However, if you're tapping into something that you're not prepared for, you know, you would get an overload, right? We have a lot of people who have tapped into spirituality and the occult, right? And a lot of them, you know, they got away with, you know, some of the things that they were doing. And some of the things that they were doing was atrocious. Okay? So a lot of them thought that they had got away with it because, you know, it didn't boomerang back on them, right? Even though they're told everything that you put out there, it will return, right? Some situations, you know, you get an immediate return. Other situations, you might get 10 years, right? Or 20 years. We don't know the bigger plan. You know, maybe God, you know, did not want to have a bunch of orphans on his hands. You know, that's the worst thing, is to have a whole bunch of orphans behind some of the bullshit that some of these supposedly grown-ass people who, you know, are acting immaturely. Okay, let's just keep it real, right? They have no consideration whatsoever that the things that they're doing, you know, one, is being transmitted energetically to the people that are around them, including their kids. You know, we want to believe that every child that comes out, they're innocent. Yes, they are innocent. But innocent doesn't mean that they didn't come out of the womb damaged, right? Example, when a pregnant woman, you know, is doing drugs, her child could come out as an addict. A pregnant woman smoking cigarettes while pregnant, her child could come out with autistic symptoms. A 20-year-old 21-year-old 22-year-old 23-year-old 24-year-old 25-year-old 26-year-old 27-year-old 28-year-old 29-year-old 30-year-old 31-year-old 32-year-old 33-year-old 34-year-old 35-year-old 36-year-old 37-year-old 38-year-old 39-year-old 40-year-old 41-year-old 42-year-old 43-year-old 44-year-old 45-year-old 46-year-old 47-year-old 48-year-old 49-year-old 50-year-old 51-year-old 52-year-old 53-year-old 54-year-old 55-year-old 56-year-old 57-year-old 58-year-old 59-year-old 60-year-old 61-year-old 62-year-old 63-year-old 64-year-old 65-year-old 66-year-o a pregnant woman who was mistreated or beaten or neglected, suffering depression, can also give birth to a child that suffers those same problematic things. Okay? This is one reason why most intelligent people, try to treat pregnant women, with honor. Right? Because, that's the least you could do. That's the least you could do. However, there are a lot of wicked men out there who are like, it's not an honorable thing to bring life into this world. And it's like, well, if it's not an honorable thing to bring life into this world, why isn't that man taking birth control, getting a vasectomy, making sure that he's wearing condoms, because even like, getting back to the subject of biocontamination, right? HPV, right? HPV is biocontamination, right? And that could be cancerous to a woman's cervix. That only develops from a man, where she gets cervical cancer. Okay? So, yeah, these men want to make it seem like, oh, you're just insecure. I'm insecure for my health when you're out here acting recklessly. I can't see my cervix and know that something's going on way up there in the dark. And you can't see either. Now, some people will say that the penis has an eye, but, it can't see. It got an eye, but it can't see. And it's wide open. So, ick, right? I had also tried to get some information on the floral of the rectum, right? And of course, it has some acids. It has some acids. It has some microbes. It has bacteria. It has fungus. It's just it has a job to do, right? So I never understood, what the hell are you doing, thinking that, falling in love with that area. Let's just put it like that. What the hell are you doing? Let me stop.